of Scrapbooking with Brittany Nicole. Here is the sketch for today with the 30 Days of Sketches Series 8. And the prompt from Scraptember is fussy cutting. I showed you guys the stencil that I used to create some light shading and interest on the bottom left-hand corner and top right-hand corner of my layout. I believe that was an exclusive from Hit Kit Club, if I recall correctly. And today's layout is a mix of mostly Chamel products and then some really old stash I have. And as you can see to the right of my screen is kind of where I put everything that I would like to use on the layout. I've mentioned this before, but one of the ways that using a sketch really helps me stash bust is I look at my sketch and then I kind of see the kinds of places where I need to put embellishments. Often I'll try to follow, if it's a circle, I try to use circles. If it's stars, sometimes I try to use stars. Not always, but sometimes. And then I went through my Chamel products and gathered what I think would go together and work with the layout. And then I also had a ton of fussy cut flowers. And for the life of me, I can't recall what collection these flowers were fussy cut from. I fussy cut them a while ago. Every once in a while, I will purchase a 12 by 12 sheet simply because I think it would be beautiful if I fussy cut the flowers or the motif in them. And so this was one of those 12 by 12 pattern papers. I just loved the flowers and I thought it'd be fun to fussy cut them. So I fussy cut them a while ago. Usually I'll do it if I'm listening to like a podcast or an audiobook or the TV's on it. I don't really have to pay attention to what's on the screen. And now that I have really good fussy cut scissors, I have like the small pair from Tim Holtz. It's so much more enjoyable to fussy cut than like when I had scissors that were really, really old. So I would say that if you don't really enjoy fussy cutting, like how I used to hate it, I do feel like having good scissors makes all the difference. One of the reasons I love using florals is because you can add dimension, I feel like, by using adhesive 3D dimensional foam and flat adhesive. I just feel like it adds a lot of dimension, a lot of color, because you have the variation in color in the photo or in the flowers, and you also have the depth. The photos are not that great, which is one of the reasons that I chose to use these photos with the sketch, because the sketch calls for much smaller photos. They were very grainy, but I still wanted to include them because they're of Rhiannon during her performance. And one of them is like when she's laying down and is resting her chin on her hands, and it looks super cute. And the other one is of her just performing on stage. The one of her resting her hands, or her head on her hands, or her chin on her hands, had back of somebody's head on it. So if you look on the bottom left corner, there's a light pink circle, and I placed that there specifically to cover up that person's head. So now when you look at the photo, it's still a grainy photo, but you see Rhiannon's face instead of the back of somebody's head and Rhiannon's face. So for me, I used a piece of chipboard. I love Sparkle. That's from a Chamel 12 by 12 chipboard sticker sheet. I'm really trying to put a dent in my Chamel stash. I apparently hoard Chamel products like nobody's business, and it's so much more enjoyable when I see them on the page. That pink bow, the pink bow you see me using right now, those, I think those are from a Freckled Fawn kit, like years ago. I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not 100% positive. Another thing that I love doing is creating embellishment clusters with a base. And so I find using like circle pattern paper, or big florals as a good anchor to create the embellishment cluster. Now, for me, this layout's a little different, and I couldn't really use that approach because there's not really specific embellishment clusters. I kind of just feel like there's one big embellishment cluster around the photos on the bottom left, and then there's one big embellishment cluster on the top right corner around the journaling. So it definitely was a bit less kind of routined, if that makes sense, where I find where I'm going to put my clusters. This was a bit more sprawling in my opinion, and having the fussy cut layered flowers really helped me create sort of more of like a sprawling, spread out, big embellishment cluster instead of like small embellishment clusters that create visual triangles. I really wanted to use these flowers that I fussy cut because I felt like they picked up on the colors in the photo. Even though the photos are grainy, Rhiannon's costume has a lot of those colors in it. It's a very bright, colorful costume. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the links in the description box below to see everybody else's take on fussy cutting and the sketch. Have a great day. Bye.